Here is my little 2 cents that nobody asked for. I am sick of seeing Black Americans in the media, on social media, in the news, doing crime, walking around next to naked, the women, the men perpetuating gang violence, substance abuse. The absolute worst of our community is oversaturating the media, even though they make up a small percentage of all of Black Americans. The decay of our morality within Black communities has been slowly declining over the past 20 years, and no one is talking about it, no one is saying anything about it or trying to address it. And if you do, you are often told that you're policing Black bodies. If you say Black women, stop getting on the internet and in the media, twerking, walking around with little clothes on. People tell you that you're policing bodies, policing Black bodies, or it's respectability politics. If you are Black and you speak your piece on what we're seeing in the media, if you don't like seeing the low morality that is often portrayed about the Black community in the media, from the trap music to the Black women twerking in music videos and all over social media, the Sukihanas and the Sexy Reds of the world, if you are Black and you take issue with it and you talk about it, you are usually called bourgeois, sedity, uppity, it's respectability politics, you're policing Black bodies and the like. And it's like, no.
Glad you mentioned those names, Sukiana and the Sexy Reds. Those are bad influence on our beautiful young girls growing up. They promote nothing but self-destruct, degenerate music that don't even motivate you. It lowers your self-esteem type of music. And that is what being pushed in the front of all the conscious music. There's no Alicia Keys no more, man. There's no Missy Elliott's. There's no Aaliyah. There's none of those anymore. You guys ever noticed that? Pushing is all this type of music talking about being with this guy, getting money and twerking. That's all they promote. That's all that you're seeing being pushed to the front. Anything that's conscious, that uplifts you and give you pride in yourself, that's suppressed. And you want to tell me they're not doing this intentionally? Destroying this generation that's coming up.
I'm Black too. And as such, this being my ethnic culture as well, I have a right to have something to say about what I'm seeing going on. Your average Black American is a middle class, working class, blue collar Jane and Joe. The ghetto subculture, Black ghetto subculture that we see often portrayed and over inundated and oversaturating the media, those Black Americans make up a tiny, tiny percentage of Black Americans as a whole. But somehow they're in the media, overcompensating in the media, oversaturating the media. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say that I'm sick of seeing it, that it's gross, that it is destroying what Black culture actually is. It's co-opting Black culture as a whole and making it seem as though all of Black culture is ghetto subculture. I'm not the only Black American who takes issue with it. Because like I said, majority of Black America is middle class, not in the ghettos, not out here perpetuating gang violence, promiscuity, and everything else. And I don't care if you claim it's respectability politics. I guess so. So be it. Because this is gross. It's getting really gross out here how blatantly disrespectful and low class we're acting on social media and in the media, on the internet, on TV. And you can claim that this is someone else's set of moral standards, but no, it isn't. It isn't. Look at Black America in the 50s, in the 60s. Our moral standards back then, drastically different from what we have today, or what we're convincing ourselves is a moral standard today. Every racial group on the face of the planet has their own ghetto subculture within their respective racial and ethnic groups. This is the case for everybody, everywhere. White people, Asian people, Mexican people, you name it. The difference is that those racial groups and those ethnic groups do not allow their ghetto subculture to co-opt the entire culture as a whole and to represent the entire culture as a whole. They don't allow it.
Thank you. I was just saying something similar to that before, because that's what's happening right now. You got the Sukiana, the Sexy Red. You have the Ice Spice. Yes, they are the up front, being promoted, being pushed. And you know what they say? The loudest one gets the attention, right? Because that's like she was saying, the regular hard-working Black Americans and Black people do not condone this nonsense. They at home raising their family, going to work, they're paying their taxes. Yes, they don't condone this type of nonsense. Because I saw a video, even with Sexy Red, she went to a high school and she couldn't perform. I don't know what high school want her to come to perform, but anyways, she couldn't perform because she smelled of straight marijuana. So they said she couldn't perform. You know what she did, guys? She waited until school was over, wait at front, all the kids came out, oh, Sexy Red is there, and she playing her music and twerking out of the hood of her truck. You telling me that's what you're bringing to your school to perform? What is she going to teach these kids? Exactly, nothing.
Everybody else within that respective ethnic group or cultural group or racial group has a right to say how they want to see themselves represented in the media, what they want to see and what they don't want to see, who gets to speak for them and who does not. Except for when you're a Black American and you have something to say about the way that you see Black Americans being portrayed in the media and you have a critique for your peers. You can't do it because it's respectability politics if you attempt to do it. Or you're judging your peers by a set of moral standards that somebody else created, which is a farce. From the Reconstruction era down through the 60s, Black Americans had their own set of moral standards and social protocols that we adhered to. Ask your grannies, ask your great grannies, they'll tell you. I have had just about enough of seeing Black culture being drugged through the muck by other Black Americans who are perverting it and turning Black culture, something that is beautiful, into something perverse. Showing their ass on the internet all the time. The men are constantly rapping and talking about gang violence. Our children are uneducated and stupid. We've created a cultural standard of promiscuity and single motherhood. And when a Black American goes to critique and judge our peers, our fellow Black Americans, and critique the condition of our neighborhoods today, they're shut down. That's respectability politics. You're policing Black Americans. If that's what it is, so be it. So be it. It needs to be said. And in order for us to attempt to escape accountability or responsibility on our own part, we claim that the conditions that we see in Black communities is being caused by somebody else. It's not our own fault. It's white people and it's structural racism or something or another. It's everybody else's fault except for our own. Give me a break. It's pitiful. It's pitiful that we refuse to take accountability for the things that we see going on in our communities. And sure, we can acknowledge that structural racism and the history of slavery in this country and discrimination and Jim Crow and Black codes and all of that has played a part in the conditions and some of the conditions that we see in Black communities. But we also have to be responsible for the ways in which Black Americans create their own conditions and contribute to the degenerative effects that we see going on in our communities. Black Americans who don't want to hear that immediately run to innocence. They rush to innocence. They claim that it's respectability politics to call out these issues in our community. They claim that it's policing Black bodies to call out the low morality and the moral decay in our community. Call it whatever you want. You're not going to get me to shut up about it. I'm Black. This is my culture too. I have a right to talk about and critique what is happening in my culture and have something to say about it. That's all.
Shout out to Zaria Simmons. Like I said, link will be in the description to the video and the channel. Hop over there, guys, and show her some love. All right? She said so many things that's factual. You can't even argue it or dispute it because it's the truth. We're watching the downfall pretty much like a self-destruct in the Black community. I'm watching young men hanging out, 14, 15 years old, with guns, watching 12 years old, making drill music, flashing money, and guns. How is that allowed? Like where? What other culture you see doing that? 12 years old flashing guns? I'm talking about spinning the block on your ops.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news, it took a jury less than 1 hour to convict Jalen Brazier of killing his cousin Zion Foster. The jury reading out the word guilty to both charges of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Thank you for joining us. I'm Karen Drew. That decision coming out just about 2:30. Sean Lay joins us now live from outside the courthouse, and you just spoke to Zion's mother.
And Karen, we have been with Zion Foster's mother since the very beginning when she was clutching missing posters of her daughter just a few days after she went missing. She was frantically searching for her daughter on Detroit's West Side, the last place she was seen. We walked out of the courthouse today with her. She was in tears. She was having hugs with her family members. And then I got to ask her what this is like for her. But let's review everything that's gone down here and walk everyone through this. We're talking about a long trial here, about 2 weeks. So many days of really technical testimony here. 32 prosecution witnesses, mountains of evidence for the jury to go over, but it reached its guilty verdict in about 30 minutes, maybe a little more. Jalen Brazier, found guilty of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Here's why. Prosecutors say, and they proved that he killed his 17-year-old cousin, Zion Foster. You know her name and you know her face over the last couple of years. Her case we followed from the start, and her mother and family, they've prayed for justice, and they just wanted to be heard in this case. Zion's body was never found. Brazier says he didn't kill her, but he panicked when she died and put her body in a dumpster with no body. There's no blood evidence, no witnesses on how Foster died. Prosecutors took all these days to link the defendant here, Brazier, to her death by cell phone records, statements he made, inconsistencies, web searches, and it ended up in a guilty verdict. And I got to ask Zion's mom right away what this is like for her.
The fact of the matter is that she was loved. She is loved. She was fought for. And this is the result. So I'm happy that in the end, this is justice.
Okay, back here live. Just scratching the surface here, Karen, of just a huge case here. An important case for all the missing young ladies out there in Detroit. And you've got Zion Foster here and a mother who never stopped working for justice for her. But Zion's body has never, ever been found. Sentencing here for Brazier, July 3rd, I believe. We're getting more with Zion's mom, 5 and 6. She shares a lot about this. She also wants to talk to that jury. She wants to thank that jury. She says they were Zion's voice today.
And a family torn apart as a man learns his punishment for killing his own brother, shooting him 16 times. Emotion spilling outside of the courtroom.
Exactly right. The families for each of the brothers fighting in the hallway seconds later. New at 6, Brittany Weir with what sparked screaming, yelling, and that near fight in the courthouse.
A fight broke out right after the sentencing for Rodney Curley. He is charged with killing his own brother. Both families screaming at each other in the hallway right outside the courtroom. The father of the victim upset because he wasn't present when the sentence was handed down.
You got my son killed! They killed my son!
Tamir Hale Dial's family is furious. They wanted justice for their loved one, but they never got the chance to tell a judge how Tamir's death will forever affect them.
My son had a father, and I'm here, and I was present. He's dead. He's not here.
20-year-old Rodney Curley convicted of murdering Tamir. The two men were half-brothers. Tamir's family tells me there was some sort of mix-up over the time of today's sentencing. After learning of this, Judge Margaret Russo pulled Tamir's family into the courtroom, apologizing for any confusion.
I never told anybody anywhere to tell anybody they couldn't come in. This is a public courtroom. You're all allowed in.
Raymond Curley was convicted of involuntary manslaughter along with other charges. The prosecution revealing that Raymond shot Tamir 16 times as he tried to run away.
Tamir made a statement to his brother, Mr. Curley, "You're not anything without your gun." And Rodney's response was, "I don't fight, I kill. I shoot to kill."
Rodney and Tamir's mother in tears as she took the stand, explaining how she lost both of her sons that day.
And I know he did what he did, and he ruined my life. And he took Tamir's life, and he ruined his own life.
Rodney was sentenced to 23 years in prison. As part of a plea deal, the mother of both boys signed off on a lesser sentence. Normally, everyone, including the victim's family, needs to be aware of the plea deal. However, Tamir's father said he never knew.
She should have never been able to sign off on something when she was the main person, the reason why my son is dead.
The father of the victim handed the judge the letter that he never got to read in court, wondering if it would have made a difference. In Cleveland, Brittany Weir, 19 News.